Hi, I'm Deborah Brooks. Today we're going to talk about using noun clauses within other clauses. So the noun clause can be the subject or object of a main sentence, but it also can be the subject or object of an adverbial or FANBOYS clause. So let's look at how that works. A noun clause can be the subject or an object of a preposition. Those are the places you put a noun. A noun can be a subject or an object of a preposition. It's the same with a noun clause. So although she had a cold, she had what? She had a cold. That's an object, that's a noun. Although she had what you had last week, what you had last week is the object. Although she had what? What you had last week. It's still an object. It's still a noun. Now, it's a clause because it has a subject and verb in it. It's a noun because it's the subject or object. It's a clause because it has a subject and verb in it. So it's a noun clause. Although she had a cold, although she had what you had last week. You can use a noun or a noun clause in all of the same places. But he didn't get the right teacher. But he didn't get what? The right teacher. But he didn't get who he wanted. But he didn't get what? Who he wanted. In both cases, it's the object and it's a noun. The right teacher is just a regular noun. Who he wanted is a noun clause. Note the subject and verb, he wanted. You have a subject and verb, you have a clause. If it's a subject or object of the sentence, it is a noun clause. So what we're going to do is write a sentence that includes an adverb clause or a FANBOYS clause, and then use a noun clause as the subject or object of that adverb or FANBOYS clause. For example, with until, we would say she didn't leave the store until she had the dress, noun. Until she had her purchases, noun. Until she had what she wanted, noun. Also, it's a clause because it has a subject and verb in it. Until she had what she wanted. So you can use a noun clause as the object, subject, object of a preposition. Those are the places you put a noun. Let me explain those two things a little bit more. One is a clause is any group of words that include a subject and verb. So any group of words that has a subject and verb in it is going to be a clause. A short sentence, I go to work. That's one clause. It's a sentence. A sentence can have 10 clauses. There is no specific limit for how many clauses you can have in a sentence. John told Mary about the class. So a noun can be the subject, a noun can be the object, and a noun can be the object of a preposition. Those are the three places you can put a noun, and those are the three places you can put a noun clause. A noun clause is a clause that, I can spell, that acts as a noun. Now, let's get into some examples. The object of an adverb clause. They got a dog, main clause. Because, adverb clause, because they like what? How a dog loves you. How a dog loves you is the noun clause object of like. Noun clause object of the verb like. They like is the subject and verb for the because clause, but they like how a dog loves you is the subject verb object of that same because clause. They got a dog because they like how a dog loves you. We painted the house again, main clause. So we painted the house again is the main clause, even though, now the rest of this is an adverb clause. The rest of that's an adverb clause, even though it isn't really how we wanted it. Right? That whole thing is an adverb clause, even though it isn't what? It isn't how we wanted it. How we wanted it is a noun clause object of be. It isn't what? It isn't how we wanted it. That is a noun clause. It's a clause because it has a subject and verb in it. It's a noun because it is an object of a verb. Now we can also use these as the object of a preposition. They are working today, main clause. The main clause doesn't have to be first. I'm just doing that to make it simpler. They're working today because they need more money for what they want. Because they need money is our adverb clause. Because they need money. Now we have a prepositional phrase here. We have a prepositional phrase. For what they want is a prepositional phrase. And a prepositional phrase goes from a preposition to a noun, right? So the preposition for what? For what they want. What they want is the noun. So that noun is a clause. It's still a prepositional phrase. It's still for something, for lunch, for a house, for what they want. It's a noun because it's the object of a preposition. It's a clause because it has a subject and verb in it. The boss gave me a raise even though he complains about how much I make. So even though he complains is the adverb clause. The boss gave me a raise is the main clause, the independent clause. Then we have even though is an adverb clause. And about what? About my work? Noun. About my phone? Noun. About my car? Noun. About how much I make? Noun. Clause. So we have a preposition plus a noun. Clause, object of the preposition. About what? How much I make. It has a subject and verb in it. It's a clause. The noun clause can be the subject of an adverb clause. The cat will cry all night is the main clause. If what she wants is outside. If what she wants is outside is the adverb clause, right? So if, we have the conjunction if, the subject, what she wants, and the verb is. If what she wants is outside. What she wants is a noun clause subject of the if clause. So this is an if clause, but it has a noun clause subject. Noun can be the subject, the object of a preposition, of any clause. We turn off our phones, main clause. After school, prepositional phrase. So that that whole rest of the rest of this sentence is an adverb clause. We have so that conjunction, the subject, where we go, and the verb won't be. Where we go is the subject of the so that adverb clause. We can do this also with FANBOYS, with the and, but, or, so. Move that down here. So with FANBOYS, we can have it as the subject or the object. So the FANBOYS as the object of a clause. Their dog got out, and, so we have that and there for the FANBOYS, but, always in the middle, always with a comma. So, meaning therefore, always in the middle, always with a comma. So their dog got out, subject verb, dog got. I don't really understand, subject verb, I don't understand. She made, subject verb, she made. Now, in the second part, we have they, subject, didn't know, verb. They didn't know what? They didn't know where he went, noun, clause, object. I'll try, subject verb. I'll try to do what? I'll try to do what you say, noun, clause, object. We didn't eat what? We didn't eat what I brought. Those are noun, clause, objects in a FANBOYS clause. So their dog got out, and they didn't know where he went. I don't really understand it, but I'll try to do what you say. She made cookies, so we didn't eat what I brought. Those are fine, normal, not extremely unusual or formal sentences. They are a bit complex, but they're very common. We can also have the noun clause as the subject of the FANBOYS clause. So let's have our FANBOYS here with a comma, and, but, so, always in the middle, always with a comma. He traveled in Egypt, subject verb. She talked, subject verb. He can't keep, subject verb. Now, in the second part, what was amazing? Where he went was amazing. What didn't make sense? What he said didn't make sense. What wasn't a surprise? Who he told wasn't a surprise. So in this case, the noun clause is the subject of the FANBOYS clause. He traveled in Egypt, and where he went was amazing. She talked a long time, but what she said didn't make sense. He can't keep a secret, so who he told wasn't a big surprise. In all of those cases, the noun clause is the subject of the other clause. A noun clause is the subject. It is the object. It is the object of a preposition. A noun clause can't be separate. It's part of another clause. The clause it's a part of can be the main clause. It can be an adverb clause. It can be a FANBOYS clause. It can be another noun clause. A noun clause can take the place of any subject, object, or object of a preposition. Thank you.